It's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
All right, guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. Lane here with you, as always. Got my co-host with me, Carson. What's up?
What's going on? We're in Perth, Western Australia.
Yeah, these Aussie cards always turn out pretty well. So UFC 305. Let's get right into this. First fight, we got Stewart Nicoll versus Jesus Aguilar. Gonna stick with the undefeated fighter here in Nicoll. I'd say this is one to stay away from in terms of betting or actually having a ton of confidence in a pick, because Stewart Nicoll shoots a lot of takedowns. He puts his neck in that territory, which is a little bit dangerous. And if you know anything about Jesus Aguilar from the film, from the fights he's been in, this dude just pulls guillotines all the time. He's got short-ass arms, and he can execute them. But I feel like Nicoll can win in top control if he just practices getting out of those guillotines, which should be obvious, and also just be the better, sharper striker, because Aguilar's short arms, he throws wild hooks, and he's not really very accurate. I mean, besides the one time he hit Shannon Ross, other than that, he's been not great. So give me Nicoll.
Yeah, who hasn't beat Shannon Ross, am I right? Yeah, Nicoll, I mean, he hasn't fought the greatest competition on the regional scene, so that's why it's a little hesitant to play this one. But I do lean his side. I think his grappling looks pretty good. But, I mean, we just don't know how good those other guys that he's beaten up. But, yeah, I mean, as long as he avoids the guillotine choke from Aguilar, I mean, I think he's got 4 or 5 out of his 6 submissions are guillotine. So that's his go-to move there. I saw he pulled that against Tatsuro Taira in their fight as well. And then once Taira got out of that, then it was smooth sailing for Taira, and was able to find his submission of his own. But, yeah, I mean, I lean towards decision for this one. But, yeah, should be a decent flyweight fight.
I also have to say, I feel like it was a big robbery that Aguilar beat Mendonca in that last fight. Yeah. That was a pretty bad decision. So, feel like if you guys go watch that fight back, he was losing in top or bottom control a lot of the fight, and then Mendoza was really tired, and he was able to do some damage, but for the most part was held down most of the fight. So, yeah. Other than that, flyweight fight to kick it off, Nicoll by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. It feels like a no-brainer here. I mean, Ricky Glenn seems like he was a decent fighter before, but just skills have faded. Age and injuries have plagued his career here, and Kenan has knockout power, and Ricky Glenn's chin and just mobility in general has looked awful. Diagos isn't really known for striking, his boxing, his power, and he got sparked pretty bad by him, and getting knocked out by Drew Dober's no shame, but he was also just sitting right in front of the punches, had no answers, and it feels like Son could do the same thing and possibly end his career here, so I'm going to take Son by first round knockout.
Yeah, I like that. I think that seems to be the obvious answer here. Ricky Glenn losing his last 2 fights by KO, both with a left hook, and Kenan has a pretty good left hook. You saw him hit Ian Gary with that. The one shot he did land in that fight was that left hook there. So, yeah, I feel like at some point Kenan will find that punch and knock out Ricky Glenn here.
Yeah, also hurt Bedoya a lot in their fight. Sparked him, dropped him a couple times. Does have that power. It is a possible win for Ricky Glenn to get back on the resume, because Son isn't a great fighter, but I'd say just the reaction timing looks awful on the side of Glenn. It looks like it's over with. So any judgment before the last 2 fights doesn't even feel like an accurate judgment to me. So excluding that evidence. Anyway, Son KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. Taking Tom Nolan, minus 1,000 favorite, chill odds makers. I mean, This is the same guy that got dropped by Victor Martinez, knocked out by Mata. I mean, it's fair to say Alex Reyes has a puncher's chance, but it's also hard to pick him in a situation like this where he just got teed off on by Charlie Campbell, and then coming off of however much inactivity before that. It's just not a setup to win scenario, but in the home country, you got to take Nolan with his aggressiveness, and I think he gets the job done by knockout. That size advantage should really play in here too.
Yeah, I think Nolan's gonna start him here early in this first round. All three, or I guess the three KO losses for Reyes are all in that first round. Nolan starts pretty fast too. See 5 KO wins, 4 of them in the first round. He's starting really early, starting fast, and I feel like he's going to get Reyes out of there pretty early. Reyes has only been to 1 decision, and he lost that decision too. So, and he has 6 KOs in the first round himself too. So I think they go out there and start early in this one, and I think someone's going down, and I think that one is Reyes.
Yeah, Carson and I were talking off camera too. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about with Tom Nolan with these unders, and a lot of things are favored towards the finish in this fight, is I'm wondering at what point does he slow down his fighting style? Because there's guys like Terrence McKinney that can go out there and just get sparked or spark somebody in a minute, but it feels like Tom Nolan, if he continues down that path, he's going to be just like him. I wonder if he'll change his fighting style at all, or if he'll just go in there and try to create chaos. I mean, age advantage should be able to play a big role in something like this. So,
yeah, home country as well too here for Nolan. I think he's going to put on a good performance for his country and win by KO in that first round.
All right, Tom Nolan KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight we have Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns must be just working off the last fights of his contract or something. Just give him his $10K to not fight or whatever. I mean, Jack Jenkins is going to spark him. Burns is a quitter. That's all you really need to know. And Jenkins, very talented striker. Great kicks to the legs. Just like fractures guys like shins with his kicks. And pretty good hands to go with it as well. And if anyone's going to fade, it's Burns. And I feel like Jenkins' takedown defense and other elements of his game have held up pretty well here as well. So Jenkins KO round 2. Herbert Burns gives up again.
Yeah, Herbert Burns is stepping in on short notice, which is probably why he has another fight. He is the disgrace of the Burns family, I do believe. In his last 3 fights, he's lost all of them in that second round. He's got 5 minutes, if that, of cardio. If it gets out of that first round, he's done for. So he's dangerous on the mat. He's got a good submission game. But I do believe the leg kicks for Jack Jenkins will make it difficult for Burns to explode and wrestle him. Jenkins' wrestling or takedown defense has been all right as well too. So, yeah, I feel like Jenkins gets out of that first round and really starts to take over in that second round and finishes Herbert then. Even with Burns too, it's like if he does take down Jenkins, it just works to his disadvantage unless he gets a submission on the ground because he'll just fatigue himself. So those types of things don't even seem to help. But yeah, I mean, if you look at his last 1, 2, 3. His last 4 wins are all first round, second round for the 5th one. So I mean, right. When he's winning, it's pretty much always in that first round. All right, Jack Jenkins KO round 2. Okay, for the next fight we have Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. Going with the Luana Santos fight, I could see this one playing out extremely close though. I think strength could play a good advantage here for Luana Santos. Recently had the weight gain, lost the weight, probably got some of the muscle from that in the process. Casey O'Neill is just a little bit too thin, and I feel like that was pretty evident in the Ariane Lipski fight where she just didn't have the strength to compete. And also,
in my opinion, just an overrated prospect. She went to a split decision, threw a million strikes with Roxanne Modafferi, but Roxanne Modafferi is like she's a test to kind of get into the rankings, and I feel like that just wasn't the most impressive fight for, proving that you're a title contender or whatever, what people thought she might have been. We're going to take Santos by decision. I think she can maybe use her judo in moments to win those grappling exchanges and then just be more damaging on the feet. I think that's another key element to this. So, yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think she's pretty aggressive, too. Both these fighters are on pretty much a different career path, it feels like. O'Neal losing her last 2 fights, and then Santos. I mean, she's been on a roll of late, winning her last 5 fights, so... obviously hasn't fought the best competition, but I feel like she's looked good in there against the lesser competition. So step up here. I think she'll be able to take advantage with that size and maybe mix in some of that judo, some grappling a little bit too. And I feel like it will be close, but I do lean Santos here.
All right. That's all I feel about this one, too. Luana Santos by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Josh Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. It's a tough one because of some fight scenarios. I'm going to go with Culibao. The main problem and why this fight could be scary if you're picking Culibao is because in previous matchups where he's been outsized or, doesn't hold the same strength, these last 2 fights, Lerone Murphy, Danny Silva, he's lost moments in the clinch and in the grappling just for his lack of weight contribution, because he's not cutting as much weight. He's got some extra skin on him from losing body fat previously. And Ramos, this guy likes to grapple, but I think Culibao is just going to be too fast for him. With the exchanges on the feet, he's a very good striker, has very good timing, good chin, and footwork. I feel like Ramos doesn't measure up in that same way on the feet, and he might even tire out a little bit more with some of that grappling. We'll see, but I'm gonna go Culibao by decision.
Yeah, I think Culibao has decent cardio to go the full 15 minutes, more so than Ramos. Culibao's got decent footwork as well. I think he'll be a little faster on the feet here, moving in and out of range, darting in. I feel like he'll just do a little more damage on the feet here. And what method of victory you like here?
I think just decision. I feel like Culibao plays it safe a lot. He doesn't commit fully to all of his punches. And, a lot of damage, though, in that Danny Silva fight against him, and even a lot of punches that he landed. But his punches don't seem to have the same effect. So,
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Culibao by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Junior Tafa versus Valter Walker. What's your pick here, Carson?
I like the clean monster Valter Walker here. I think I was doing some research on that Instagram. Usually it's for like the Luana Santos of the world, but I stumbled upon Valter Walker, and he does seem to be in a lot better shape than what he was previously in his debut here. So obviously that debut was not very good against Bresky, but I think he will be able to land those takedowns here against Tafa, and probably win a decision here.
That decision versus Bresky was kind of suspicious. It kind of felt like it should have been at least split, or maybe 2 judges maybe would give it to him. I don't remember extremely clearly. I just remember there's a lot of grappling with no damage from Walker. The losing the fat is a good sign, although at the same time, sometimes that fat is good for just laying on people, and I think in this case it would help because Tafa just has no get-up game. Muhammad Usman laid on him, and Muhammad Usman's not even that big of a dude.
I think being a little lighter will help with his cardio a little bit. Not carrying around all that fat.
Right. In terms of the striking, Tafa should be way ahead, but hell, maybe Valter Walker will be like Carl Williams just this last weekend and not shoot a takedown and then just get outstruck. We'll see. These guys are fucking retarded. Anyway, Any more thoughts
Yeah,
here?
certainly not betting on this low-level heavyweight fight. But, yeah, I mean, I think Muhammad Usman pretty much showed you what you got to do against Tafa. So.
Yeah. All right. Valter Walker by decision. Okay, for the next fight we have Jingliang the Leech. We'll just call him the Leech. Versus Carlos Prates. The Leech coming off of a break here. Back. Gonna take Carlos Prates. This is a good fight, though. Very big step up for Prates. I mean, Trevin Giles was pretty highly rated, but didn't have much of a chin. I'm gonna take Prates by decision. The Leech has never been knocked out before. He has one of the biggest heads for his, comparison to weight class, I think, in the UFC, whatever that ratio is. He always just has a fucking huge noggin. I feel like he can take the punches and make it to the end of the fight, but more elements in the striking game with the Muay Thai of Carlos Prates here. He's going to have kicks, he's going to have knees and punches on his side, whereas the Leech is primarily a boxer with crazy power. So measure it up how you want, but I like the kicker a little bit better. So give me Prates.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. Jingliang here coming in off the 2-year layoff. Last fight was against Daniel Rodriguez and that little fiasco that Diaz, Ferguson, and Hamzat all had on that card.
Hard to believe that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, Carlos Prates has looked really good so far here in the UFC. I think he's going to be able to use his length and size here to his advantage here. You see his reach here is 78 inches compared to 72 for the Leech. And Prates will be able to use that because he throws straight punches a lot of the time, and Jingliang is usually throwing hooks here. So, yeah, I mean, you obviously said that Leech has a really good chin, never been KO'd before, so that's why I do lean decision for Prates. So, yeah, I still think it'll be a really good fight, back and forth fight, but I think Prates will be landing the far more damaging strikes here.
And if Prates is smoking a city before the fight, it's an auto bet, fellas. Because this boy smokes cigs, and it probably calms him down, and he probably will be in flow state. We'll see. Fun fight, though. But give us Prates.
Yeah, Fighting Nerds Gym, too. They've been on an absolute tear, so
right on.
Obviously got to stick with them.
Okay, for the next fight, we have Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Taking Tuivasa as the underdog here. These fights are hard to call. It's who's going to land first. Sadly for Ty, he's just taken a lot of damage over the years. Over these last 2 years, pretty much. But I do feel like Ty is just going to be a more aggressive fighter here, and Jairzinho. Even with Gaziev, he never even knocked him out. He quit on the stool, Gaziev, and Gaziev was exhausted, and Jairzinho was still unwilling to really even go for it, which I feel like Ty, home crowd will fucking go crazy for him. Might see a little bit of Bam Bam back in action here, and the younger fighter as well. Just hoping that chin holds up a little bit better than it has. So give us him by a first-round knockout. Thoughts?
Yeah, he's been finished in his last 4 fights, but the last 2 have both been submissions. So I don't see Rozenstruik doing that again here. So Rozenstruik is just so gun shy. Doesn't go for it. Yeah, I mean, like you said, against Gaziev, that one was super telling too. It's like the dude is absolutely exhausted. If you strung together a few combinations, he'll just fall down and give up.
Right.
Like. I don't know if he just wanted to toy with him or what, but obviously should have gotten him out of there a lot sooner than the stool did. So, give me Ty, home crowd advantage. He'll be actually going for it. Hopefully, he catches him at some point. Yeah, I like Ty.
And as well, the only time I've ever seen Jairzinho on the gas is that Chris Daukaus fight. He's like, I'm fighting the white cop from Philly. It's time just to exterminate him. So maybe there was a confidence boost there. Maybe he'll be nervous again. I don't know. Maybe Francis Ngannou just changed his whole mindset when he nuked him with the wildest punches he'd ever seen. But
I mean, Ty's losses are against pretty good heavyweights too. I mean, besides the Tabora one, Volkov, Pavlovich, and Gon. I mean, that Gon fight was really good too. Ty was the only one to knock down Cyril Gon, and still is the only one to knock him down. So
right.
Hopefully, he can bring back some of that energy and start Rozenstruik here.
All right, Tuivasa KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. What's your pick here, Carson?
I am on the side of Dan the Hangman Hooker. There's this little thing called damage that you got to do in a MMA fight here, and Gamrot does not do any damage. Obviously, if Gamrot is able to win this fight, it is probably going to be with that grappling. But I think Hooker's takedown defense is all right. I think it's going to be... I mean, I assume he will get taken down at some point, but he works his way back up to his feet. He's good cardio as well, too. And he'll be going for damage, actually throwing some punches here. You saw Beneil Dariush was able to drop Gamrot with pretty much one punch, so I think Hooker can put a few punches together, do more damage in at least 2 of those 3 rounds, and win a decision.
I somewhat agree that Dan Hooker should be the one awarded a win for damage, but I just don't think the judges are going to score it that way, so I'm going to take Gamrot. I think historically, even in Gamrot's fights, you looked at the Sarukian fight, Sarukian does all the damage for the most part in that fight. There was good scrambling exchanges, and, Gamrot had his moments in those, but all the damage was pretty much done by the Sarukian side. Jalen Turner did all the damage, but Gamrot was the better wrestler. I feel like this is a rinse and repeat situation. I'm questioning why they made this matchup, because it's just going to piss off the Aussie fans. They're all going to cheer on Dan Hooker and his new crazy tattoos that he has. But I feel like Gamrot just going to play disappointment for everybody. And it's going to be a dumb fight. And I agree with you. Damage should be the primary factor. And if Hooker has 1 minute of damage dealt to Gamrot and Gamrot just holds him down, it's just going to be a gay fight. So what are your other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Hooker has a 5.5-inch reach advantage, too. Hopefully he's able to stick and move and not let Gamrot get so close to him. But, yeah, I mean, I do think the crowd will help Hooker here as well, too, in his home crowd. Hopefully it helps in the judges' eyes as well, too. Gamrot being a minus 300 or whatever he is crazy.
Gamrot also has, really bad nervous tendencies on the feet. The way he was shooting versus Turner and Dariush, he looked scared at a lot of moments on the feet. So bad things like that can, hurt you on a scorecard. So something to think about. Anyway, Gamrot by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg. Fun fight here. Going with the underdog in Kai Kara-France. I'm going to take it by decision here. I feel like this is a complete odds miss by the odds makers. Kai Kara-France is in a lot of close fights with people and really has that knockout power. And you're coming into a fight here where Kai Kara-France was beating Moreno for 2 rounds until he got liver kicked, and I know that's a what-if kind of situation, but still something you should recognize. And then also got robbed versus Elmir Albazi, one of the worst robberies, I think, of that year. I think he should have won 49-46. And then something else I really like that measures up on this fight, we won't see much ground game. I don't think Steve Erceg is going to be shooting on him, and if he does, I think Kai Kara-France can defend those takedowns. And then the height difference actually helps Kai Kara-France a lot of these times because he loves to throw the overhand right, and it's the way that Steve Erceg leaves his chin up a little bit. It just sets up for a clean punch on the chin. So give me Kai Kara-France, and I think he gets it done well here. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think these odds should be a little tighter. Kai Kara-France has given up 4 inches of height, like you said, but he does have the reach advantage by a half an inch. So he's a little shorter, but has longer arms. Erceg, I think this the odds makers might be a little bit too much on his side.
Recency
here.
Bias.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. You saw David Dvorak. Dvorak like completely gassed out in that fight. Dvorak won that first round and was winning that second round until like the last minute where Erceg caught him. Dvorak completely gassed out, and Erceg took over in that late second and third round there too. And then Alessandro Costa, Costa was able to catch him a few times and hurt him. So that fight was a lot closer than what it should have been. And I think he had a grapple in that third round to secure that decision. So,
right.
Obviously, Matt Schnell is Matt Schnell. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think Kai Kara-France has fought really well. I mean, he's taken a year off now, so I think that might be a factor in the odds makers here. But all of his fights are really close, and I think this one is also really close. He's got really good takedown defense too. If Erceg wants to force that, I think Kai Kara-France has some of the best takedown defense in that flyweight division.
Yeah, I mean, the cardio, I'd have to give Steve Erceg the side on the cardio, but also at 125 pounds, these guys just don't slow down like you'd expect them to. And like, I mean, Erceg's boxing's good, but you're going to look like a lot prettier of a fighter on the feet when you're fighting Pantoja, who's a brawler, has not great boxing, and not only that, but he's trying to force grappling exchanges where he's using all of his shoulder strength. His arms are full of blood. It's going to make it even harder for him to compete in the striking, where Kai Kara-France, he's loose. You know, this guy has a lot of power in the punches, cuts down range well. I mean, I look at Albazi very similarly in style to Steve Erceg. They're kind of on their feet, on their toes. They shift in and out of range. The only difference is I feel like Steve Erceg has less defensive boxing than Albazi does. So, yeah. I like this fight a lot, though. So, yeah, give me the underdog, baby.
Yeah, really good co-main event here. 3 rounds. I don't really think cardio should be too much a factor here.
Right. All right. Kai Kara-France by decision. All right, guys. Welcome to the main event prediction. As always, guys, check out that Patreon. Get those bets. Already got some placed out there. I'll drop a like, comment, subscribe. And for the main event, we have Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. Carson, I'm going to let you kick this one off.
Yeah, 2 African fighters. I guess maybe one's New Zealand here, but I'm going with the African champion in Dricus Du Plessis. I know we do disagree on this one, but he's been on an absolute tear. I think that Robert Whittaker fight was really eye-opening. His style is just really hard to deal with. He's very unorthodox. He doesn't, like, if you see like his videos of him like sparring or whatever in the gym, he doesn't look that great.
I can't imagine you can spar with this guy because his way of fighting is throwing everything into every punch, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. And we saw what Sean Strickland did to Adesanya, was just walk him down and throw jabs and teep kicks. And that's not a really great look. When Dricus has pretty much did that to Strickland, where he's just walking him down the entire fight. Du Plessis did get that nose surgery before that Whitaker fight and seemed to improve his cardio too. So I think Dricus can mix in some grappling here in this fight and just be very unorthodox and put that pace and pressure on Adesanya here and wear him out and break him.
I gotta be on the other side, and I'm not gonna discredit a lot of points of Dricus because I think people shit on him, although he's extremely successful. Like, I'm gonna go on a roll here of making Dricus points, but everyone calls him sloppy. But again, he knocked out Whitaker, who's one of the most technical strikers in the division, if not the most, just for his given attributes. And
knocked
then
him out faster than Izzy did too.
Yeah, and finished everybody else on the way up, not always in the prettiest fashion, and then took Sean Strickland to a split decision. People always debate on which way it could go. It's one of those fights, in my opinion, that's hard to score in a lot of ways. But I'm gonna go with the Adesanya side. I feel like as well he's gonna win by knockout. I'll bounce back to you in a minute here on what your take of how the fight ends, but I feel like Izzy's so hard to hit already, and you look at the Dricus fight with Sean Strickland and how many jabs he absorbed. Well, we know Sean doesn't have the hardest hands. I feel like Izzy putting on this extra weight, he does have knockout power in his hands when he does throw, and I think Dricus can force himself into situations where he can get knocked out. Dricus will be pushing forward a lot this whole fight, but if Izzy can slip punches, he's also had a good chin through his career. I mean, only really knocked out by Pereira, and he didn't even get the full knockout punch, to be fair. I just feel, he got knocked down by Strickland, but still was fine in the scenario, which also you could consider, was Adesanya concussed enough in that Strickland fight that it had an effect on the rest of the fight? I don't think so, but that's an argument. I'm going to go with Adesanya KO round 3. I feel like he gets Dricus missing a lot, and then he starts to commit to his strikes more and finds a knockout. What do you think? How does it finish for Dricus?
We're saying KO for the guy who goes to decision in every single one of his fights.
He knocked out Pereira, to be fair, but
that's interesting. Dricus has only been to 2 decisions. He's finishing damn near everybody he's fighting. So, but I do lean towards decision, like you said. Izzy does have a really good chin. He's got good cardio as well too. He's hard to hit. Ultimately, I do think decision would be the way here. But yeah, I could see a finish too. I maybe see him getting a submission. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe. He is strong as fuck.
That's another thing, too. He looks absolutely massive as a 185er.
Yeah. People talk about, the shitty judo throw he tried to do versus Whitaker, but I think he's also so strong that at moments he just gets away with a lot because of it. And then when people try to grapple him, if Izzy grapples back, he drains people. Whitaker tried to take down Dricus, Dricus got up immediately. You could see Whitaker was that much more tired, and used a lot of his strength to get down Strickland throughout the fight, was able to maintain his cardio. And something that's hard to measure, and we'll talk about this with a fighter on this previous card, is just how much people want it, and Dricus wants it so much more than other people want it that it's hard to, that's all the technique flaws and all that shit. In MMA, there's so much more that you can make up with just for going fucking haywire on somebody, and that's what Dricus does. And Izzy, his downfall in a lot of fights has been not doing enough. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dricus, 30 years old. Feel like he's in his prime now, or just getting to his prime now, getting better and better every single fight. And Izzy at 35 years old just took a year off. I don't know how he comes back. I'd imagine good. I feel like that year off would be good for him to reset.
Probably motivation can reset too, and you have you have a fight to be motivated for in Dricus. Maybe he didn't think about the Strickland fight. You're a minus 700 favorite too, so coming to this one, it's a pick 'em. He probably wants to prove a point, I would imagine. I don't know.
Maybe Dricus is in his head a little bit.
Maybe. They both like touching things like their coaches and their dogs and, all that stuff. They're more similar than you would expect.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Anyway, though, agree to disagree on this one. Carson's got Du Plessis by decision. I got Adesanya KO round 3. Okay, guys, to quickly recap Tybura versus Spivak. We only had one bet for this card, and there's a good reason why. I think a lot of people lost money on this card because of a lot of low-level fights, but Carson had this bet, which continues into UFC 305. We're going to talk about it. What are your thoughts on the Mariscal fight, Carson?
Yeah, Chepe, Mariscal, I bet it week before the fight when Chepe was like minus 250, I think was the number I got him at. But yeah, I mean, I thought I was really surprised that the line went down to like minus 180. So if you did see that on the Patreon, you probably got a better line on that. I don't know why everybody was betting on Damon Jackson, and we saw why in that fight.
Right.
Chepe looked like minus 500.
Maybe even higher.
Minus 1,000.
Yeah. He 30-25'd on 2 scorecards. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
And it could have been finished.
You got to do damage in a fight, and a junkyard dog like Chepe is going to be doing damage the entire fight. Damon Jackson looked like he just wanted to sniff Chepe's nutsack, and that absolutely doesn't work in a fight here. Chepe absolutely beat the piss out of Damon Jackson. Probably could have been stopped a few times at some point in that fight. But,
definitely.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't have a bet on the finish, but yeah, absolutely love the performance from Chepe. Just got to make weight next time.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising. I mean, he said in the post-fight interview the doctors cut him off. I mean, I'm not sure. His legs were all stiffened up, though, so probably for good reason they stopped him. But talk about a guy that's almost an auto bet. I mean, I know he had the close fight with Cherrier, but this guy's going to fight for your money. Him fighting Dan Ige, that would be more nervous with something like that, because Dan Ige's got knockout power, but Mariscal will fucking fight, bro. And I mean, how many strikes did he land on the ground? They put a statistic on the screen one time that was head strikes 102-2. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. And the knees that he could throw to the head knocked down Damon a couple times. Cardio was unbelievable. Grappling was unbelievable. He could have easily broke apart and I think knocked him out with the hands, but he still just fucking ragdolled him. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah. Obviously on the ground, he's landing a ton of strikes, doing damage on the ground, elbows, knees. He did it all. That's what I really like about him is he actually does damage, and he's a dog. Will fight for your money, like you said.
Right.
Yeah, really great performance from Chepe. I'm
Other
surprised
fights,
everyone was betting on Damon Jackson.
Right.
That's
Other fights, Yusuf Zalal. I love his fighting style. Got the job done. Very well-rounded. Got the grappling, got the striking. Carl Williams, you're a dumbass. I mean, we didn't bet him, but not shooting a takedown's pretty funny. Gregorio gassing out and Aljo and them freaking out was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's why it's hard betting on these low-level cards. Like Gregorio or Kazama is absolutely god-awful. Gregorio is a little better than awful. So, I mean, Gregorio is like minus 250 or whatever he was. So it's like you can't, that's not much value on this card.
Shane Gillis. Chelsea Chandler. Tried pretty good out there. I don't know. That was a shit fight anyway. I didn't even watch it. Chris Gutierrez, lackluster, boring fight. And Spivak with the armbar. That surprised me. But I still don't think he's that great. Anyway.
Yeah. Probably will be. Won't be in that top 5, I don't think.
Right. Anyway,
I don't think
little
we'll make that next leap.
What's that?
Yeah, I said I don't think he'll make that next leap into that top echelon of that division.
I don't think he has that. He doesn't have the well-roundedness. Anyway, yeah, hoping this bet clears next week. We feel like Jenkins is a lock. I don't like to say that word, but I mean, Jesus, it's Herbert Burns, so give us our money. Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else from you, Carson?
Nope.
Check out the Patreon and peace.
Peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. Don't doubt me, I couldn't do it.